Number 11, the San Francisco 49ers right here. So, Brecken, who are they taking?
I have loved this pick. I know they need O-line, all this stuff. I have them going Jahad Campbell, and I think he could easily.
Mhm.
He may not be as great as Dre Greenlaw, but dude, he is a freaking athlete, and he can play edge. I love Jahad Campbell going here. I know maybe linebacker isn't their first need, but I would just, dude, that defense would automatically just return to their glory as they were just 2 years ago if they were able to take Jahad Campbell. He's an Alabama player, so he's played against amazing competition. And I mean, I liked him going to the Panthers. I like him going here at 11 to the Niners. It's such a perfect fit.
Josh?
I can't ignore the need for a left tackle, for an outside tackle for the San Francisco 49ers, especially with hold on, let me go to my notes real quick. Especially with the aging Trent Williams on the outside, who is going to be 37 years old this season. I think you automatically switch to Kevin Banks Jr. He has a massive 84-inch wingspan and he's pretty quick. I think that's a comp to Trent Williams if there is one. He's not nearly as big, but the length has a lot to do with it. And I just think I as much as I would love to see maybe like a splash and add another weapon on the other side, or maybe even go towards something of your needs in the defense, because there's a couple of safeties here, there's a couple of cornerbacks that you could go that they really do need, and like Brecken said, the linebacker position is a need for them, especially losing out on Dre Greenlaw in the offseason. I do think Kevin Banks Jr. is something that you shoe up your left tackle position for the future, and he gets to learn a little bit behind Trent Williams.
Man, so I gotta split the difference here again. Jahad Campbell or Kelvin Banks.
I don't mind Kelvin Banks. I like Kelvin Banks as well. I think he's an amazing size to be playing. I think maybe he's a little bit early. For me, he ends up on the ground too much. And then I think like what you were saying earlier with them needing, I feel like they really need corner, but I feel like some of these guys are going to end up falling, and there's so many solid corners and safeties in this draft that they could get one later. I love Jahad Campbell. I think he's fallen a bit too much.
If I had to lean one way, I'm gonna have to lean towards Kelvin Banks just because their need, and like Josh was saying, he's just so damn versatile. If I can even find him, dang, man, I don't know about you, but these Pro Football Focus, these rankings, I don't agree with them at all. I think Jalen Walker feels like
they don't do them based off of like opinion. They do it based off just like pure statistical and analysis. So it's not like, so they're not going based off what the scouts and like the insiders are looking at.
Yeah. All right. So Josh, did you go last? Was it you, Josh?
I don't remember, but I can go.
Yeah.
But maybe you should go, Fonzo. It's the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's the Cowboys.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. So number 12 right here, the Dallas Cowboys. So there's Terriota McMillan. There's Amarian Hampton here. So I don't know. I'm torn. If this goes exactly how it's going right here, I'd have a tough time picking between the two. I'm not as okay. I think I was talking to Brecken with this before we started. I think Terriota McMillan is going to be a player with a high floor, but I just don't see this generational, this superstar kind of guy that other people are seeing in him, which I could see him fall. With that being said, I think the Cowboys take Amarian Hampton here. They've always liked to have a run game. Every time they have a high pick, they want to go with the running back here. So I think they lean more towards Amarian Hampton here. This guy, he just has all the tools. Somebody you could give 200, 250 carries to. Somebody who can receive the ball out of the backfield right here. So I'm leaning towards Amarian Hampton right here. What do you guys think?
I can't do it with you, brother. I'm sorry. I just think that there's too many running back options later in the draft, and I don't think that's a glaring need for the Dallas Cowboys. I think there's a lot that needs to happen. I think there needs to be a number 2 outside of CeeDee Lamb, and I think that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Ted McMillan here. I think with Jinty gone, the hypothetical dream for all Cowboys fans die. However, they get the number 1 receiver in the draft to pair with CeeDee Lamb and offer Dak a much-needed weapon on the outside. Ted is an impressive prospect. I think he stands at 6'4" while also running a 4.4. So I think that's that. You want to get the athletic profile on the outside, and I know Hampton is available here, like I said, but the loaded running back draft class, I just think it makes you target this early on prospect at wide receiver with Ted McMillan. And for my comp, I think I put Drake London. I think he shows a lot of what Drake London can do. I think that's a really good receiver who we haven't even seen on lock. And even with Michael Penix and a little bit with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix last year, I believe Drake London had a very underrated season last year. And I just think he can bring that into this wide receiver group, especially not having to be the number 1 guy right out the gate in your career with CeeDee Lamb on the other side. I just think this is only ups for Ted McMillan going to the Dallas Cowboys, especially having a quarterback like Dak Prescott. But for my floor, I put Kevin White. I just don't. I know that's a pretty bad player, but the confidence was there. But Ted McMillan
The
seems like a
confidence
pretty.
was there, yeah.
But Ted McMillan seems like a pretty humble and hardworking dude. So I'm gonna go with him to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I haven't gone to Dallas as well. I think if Tet doesn't go here, I mean, I don't know where he goes. He's going post 20. And I think he
Yeah,
is he's one of the better prospects. I mean, statistically, his like target to catch ratio is pretty good. I think he's an amazing route runner at his size, and he may look slow, but I think that's because of his length. And I think his hands have a little bit more to be desired. I think Drake London's a lot better at catching, contested balls than Tet. But I think Tet's just a better route runner than Drake London. So I think he could be like a Corey Davis if nothing works out, being one of those higher draft picks that are just kind of like a solid guy. And I think with him being on the Cowboys, I think Dak is bound for an MVP season. They're going to go 12-5 and miss out on the playoffs, one and done, and no, I'm just kidding. They'll end up being really good. I think I get that, like, oh, you want a running back, but there's so many good ones in this draft class. You could take anybody in the second round and be set. So I think Tet falling in your lap here is just beautiful for the Cowboys.
Well, I mean, I'm not mad at it. Like it's really splitting hairs right here. I wouldn't be mad if Terriota McMillan goes to the Cowboys at 12, then I'd be more than happy. So I'm perfectly fine going Tet here. I just feel like it's more just where do you want this offense to go? And based off what Schottenheimer was kind of leaning towards, it's for sure running back or wide receiver. So, all right. The Miami Dolphins here at 13. It would be Josh. Would it be? Yeah, it's Josh next.
I'm gonna go with Will Johnson out of Michigan right here for the Miami Dolphins. I'm sure people are fully expecting Matthew Golden to go here with the Miami Dolphins draft profile. However, I think Johnson is easily a top 10 prospect and can even be argued in the top 5. The Dolphins have a gaping hole across from Jalen Ramsey and would love to add who many believe to be the best cornerback outside of Travis Hunter in the country during his time at Michigan when he was healthy. He's 6'2" with great instincts and ball skills that show up definitely on the box score with 9 interceptions over his career and I believe 2 pick sixes last year. For me, his ceiling is a healthy J.C. Horn. So I think that's a pretty good player. And I think the Dolphins really need that steady presence in the secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey.
Reckon.
Dude, I love Will Johnson. I like Jahdae Barron as well. I had Will Johnson going over him. I think a lot of these next couple of players are going to be asterisks next to their names where it's like if you just take away what happened last year, they're amazing players. And if you take away what Will Johnson did last year, there's some concerns like, oh, maybe he's not fast enough to be playing boundary corner. I think that's just lack of effort. He didn't seem in it last year. I know he was injured. Last year wasn't his year. And I think that this could be like a Derek Stingley where it's like, even whenever he first gets drafted, he may not be, that lockdown guy on the outside. But if you give him a year or two, he's going to end up being great. And I think he's amazing size at 6'2", playing at corner. And he's shut down. If you drafted him last year, even in last year's draft class,
Be top
he's
5, yeah.
Yeah, he's going top 5 for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm I think I'm just thinking absolutely high of Will Johnson here because I think this guy has all the tools and everything like a Pat Surtain right here. I just think this guy, the only thing I know everybody always says the downfield speed as far as can he
Mhm.
catch up, can he be on the outside? But I watched I watched that game against Texas and Michigan. Will Johnson was step for step with Matt Golden. And we already know how fast of a burner Matt Golden is. It's just sometimes your 40 tape or your 40-yard dash doesn't translate to how good you are on the field. This guy is just a technical genius right here. And I just think, yes, he may not be able to play the slot, but he's a perfect modern day outside corner here. So yeah, Will Johnson, I agree. Going 13 here. All right. Number 14 here, Brecken. I think it lined up perfect here for the Colts. Who are they taking?
I don't know how this happened. I wanted Tyler Warren to go top 10. I don't know
You want
how
him to
he
go 5.
falls. Dude, I don't know. Yeah, I wanted him to go 5. I wanted him to go to the Jags. I don't know how he fell to 14. You have to take Tyler Warren. He's just such a good prospect. I would have loved Malachi Starks here. They have so many glaring needs, but I think
Yeah.
Tyler Warren is just such a freak that you gotta take him here.
Yeah. Josh, any disagreements?
No, I'm not going to agree with that comp if we didn't go with Tyler Warren to the Chicago Bears. And actually, I had the Colts taking Colston Loveland right here because Tyler Warren in my mock draft went to the Chicago Bears. So I think definitely with what we have available here, I think Tyler Warren is definitely the answer to go. And I already talked about it with the Chicago Bears, so I think he's definitely the reason. And I think the Colts desperately need tight end. They only had
Yeah.
500 yards combined last year from the tight end position, and they just need to add another weapon alongside Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs and Adonai Mitchell. I think Tyler Warren shores up that tight end position for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I just think that this guy has a lot of George Kittle in him, in my opinion. I just think this guy just down the field, he's just an amazing prospect. But I think if there had to be a downside, like somebody who could kind of be similar to somebody who's just as tall, 6'6", same build, same frame, like a Dallas Goddard type. I think that's where his floor could be. I think this dude's going to be top 10 no matter what. But maybe he does end up being a little bit stiffer in the NFL, not running as well. But I still see him being a top 10 tight end. So, all right, the Atlanta Falcons right here, a division rival for you, Brecken. Oh, wait, no, you went last, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the Atlanta Falcons taking?
For me, I think this is where Mike Green goes. I think they desperately need an edge rusher, someone to create pressure on the quarterback, because who was dead last in sacks last year was the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Atlanta Falcons need to draft Mike Green here, and he's one of the most pro-ready prospects. He's very explosive. He has a lot of power, and what did he do better than anyone in college football last year? That was sack the quarterback. He led the entire FBS with 17 sacks last season, and I think the edge out of Marshall is Mike Green, and that's where the Falcons are going.
So how do you feel about that pick, Brecken?
I would have loved to see Jahad Campbell. I'm still so high on him. I love to see him go here. But I will say Mike Green. I liked Mike Green. I was talking about him earlier. You know, you're 100% dead on. He is the most pro-ready edge in this draft. And we know the Falcons hate drafting edge early for some reason. But I do think that they will end up taking Mike Green or Jahad Campbell. The way that this lines out, I think Mike Green, most pro-ready guy, just go ahead, take him, set it and forget it. You're not worried about, maybe high upside, all that stuff. But yeah, I like Mike Green.
I think this is kind of similar to, I know Jared Verse went to a bigger school, Florida State last year, but I think it's kind of similar to him where it's like, we don't know how he's going to have the upside, but I think sometimes you just need to take guys who are just ready to play in the NFL. And this guy, outside of Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, I think this guy, he could just be an instant fill-in. I think if he has any upside, any potential to him, I really see some like DeMarcus Lawrence-esque right here. I really like that comp, but I think I like an Alex Highsmith. He could maybe play some linebacker here because he has some quickness to him. So I really like that pick. All right, the Cardinals right here. We're halfway through the draft here, Brecken. Who are they taking?
Dude, I know that they need O-line and they need D-line. It's a good D-line draft. Dude, I think they're gonna take Jale'e Barron. I think he's fallen far enough. They need corner, and then I think he's versatile enough that he could play in the nickel. He can maybe even move back to safety. I have Jahad. You know what I'm trying to say. I have Barron going here,
What are you
the
trying to
guy
say?
from UT. Hook him, baby. And
What are you trying to say?
dude, I have him going here. I would have loved Josh Simmons and then maybe even
Yeah,
throwing him in at guard. I'm so high on Josh Simmons. It's just I
yeah.
know that teams are going to be scared because of the injuries. Kenneth Grant would be a great pick here, but I think they're going to go Jade Barron. I think he's fallen down the board too much. And if it's like if he falls in your lap here, you need corner, take him.
Any disagreements here, Josh?
Where are we at? The Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, I
No,
disagree.
we're on the
I
pack.
went.
We're on the
No.
Cardinals, buddy. We're on the
No, I
Cardinals.
just
Cardinals.
drafted him. I just drafted Jade Barron. Do you
Oh.
like that pick pretty much?
I can see the reasoning for going with Jade Barron right there, but I actually went with Matthew Golden for my
Ooh.
pick right here for the Arizona Cardinals. I know they drafted Marvin Harrison last year. However, the lack of explosive plays from the passing game almost makes this a need for the Cardinals. I don't think he'll ever develop to a true one with Marvin Harrison Jr. there, but it gives you a solid 1-2 for the foreseeable future along with Trey McBride. And I think it offers a true burner and complete receiver on the outside and who can even come into the slot.
So
I
as
don't-
far as with, oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Brady. Go
don't
ahead.
I don't like the Matthew Golden pick because I think you could take somebody like a Luther Burton in the second, maybe
Mhm.
trade up or something like that. If
Mhm.
you're looking for that wide receiver too, I think a lot of these prospects are wide receiver twos, and they are going a little bit later. I like Mbike more than Golden. He
Yeah.
was extremely
Yeah.
productive. I think he's in the same case as was it Will Johnson earlier, where it's like if you just take away last year's, he's a freaking dog.
Mhm.
But I think Barron falls to them. I would have understood edge if you wanted to go edge, but I think Barron's perfect pick. Just
I
sure up
just
that
think
end.
what Matthew Golden offers, with the 4-3, and he was also really great down the stretch when Isaiah Bond did get hurt for Texas. He offered that true number one presence, and I just think he would merely take this Arizona Cardinals offense to a whole nother level.
Dude,
So,
but they
with
like to
Matt
run the
Golden,
ball.
yeah,
Exactly, because they don't have the lack of explosive passing plays. It goes to the running position.
I think they have enough skill players here. I really like the Jade Barron. He reminds me of Asante Samuel Jr., somebody who's probably going to, a smaller on the outside, probably going to play a little bit more slot than normal. And I just think that this guy has all the instincts and a very physical DB for him being smaller.
Mhm.
He definitely makes
I'm
up
not
with
mad
that.
at the pick.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think the pick's also a perfect pick for them. I just looked at offensively. They went stagnant at certain points, and Matthew Golden for me was a little bit more enticing than Jade Barron.
I have his comp as Aqib Talib. I loved watching Aqib
Ooh,
Talib back in the
okay.
day.
Ooh, that's
And I
pretty good.
think, yeah, I think that he is. I mean, he sizes up. He's 5'11",
Yeah, size
perfect
up. Yeah,
size,
perfect.
and he's such a good zone player. He's not locked down man. I get that, but he's so good in zone and versatile. I think that's what like Aqib Talib was locked down in zone back in the day. So.
Yeah. But all right here, number 17, the Cincinnati Bengals here, Josh. It's perfect for you to draft for them. So they obviously re-signed Jamar Chase, T. Higgins in the offseason. Really have nobody on the defensive end. We don't know what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson. So who are they taking here?
I went with Walter Nolan here out of Ole Miss, and I think that's the perfect pick that they have to go with here. I think the defense was absolutely terrible last year, and like you said, they lost Sam Hubbard to oh crap. Well,
Yes.
that's who I picked. See, it's throwing me off. Hold on, let me redo this.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well,
No, you're good.
then I think right here, based off what we still have on the board, I think I'm gonna have to go with Jahad Campbell. I think Jahad Campbell. This is exactly where he's gonna go, and a lot of the reasons why our boy Brecken is really high on him is the Bengals need all the help they need on all the help they can get on defense, and adding another presence to maybe get to the quarterback and also play in the second level. I think Jahad Campbell offers that.
Any
Dude,
disagreements, Brecken?
dude, I love Jahad Campbell. I would have loved Malachi Starks to go here because I think they do. They miss what's his name? He's on the
Jesse
Falcons
Bates?
now. Yeah, they
Jesse
miss
Bates,
Jesse
yeah.
Bates, and I think Malachi Starks is like legit, like almost 1-to-1 with Jesse Bates. But I think that they need edge. I forgot that they still haven't signed. Like, what's going on with Hendrickson, bro? Like, what's
I
going
have
on there?
no clue. I can't even
So
lie to you. It's up in the air still.
And then I mean Josh was dead on. They still need linebacker and stuff like that. So I love Campbell, and I'm really high on him. I think he'll end up being a great player.
Yeah, he was nothing but consistent through his entire
Yeah,
college career. So I think that's great.
he was
I was still reading off my mock draft. That's why.
he
So
was
I actually had them taking Walter Nolan right there. So, but
Yeah, no,
Jahad
you're
Campbell
good.
definitely offers another. This I think that was my second option. Even I was also leaning towards Jade Barron right here as
Mhm.
well. I think they definitely go defense. I think offensive line, they definitely need offensive line. So I wouldn't be mad if they went offensive lineman right
Yeah.
here. But you were so terrible on defense last year. You have to go with a defensive player in round one.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
I
but
also think he's so whenever he was recruited to Bama as an edge. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's just so versatile, and that's where he was like kind of playing at the beginning of his career. He's so good and such a freak athlete, man. And he played at Bama. If you're an edge player at Bama, linebacker at Bama, you're probably going to be good.
yeah. Yeah, no, I just think that if Josh Simmons goes high, I think this could be a great
Hmm.
landing spot for Cincinnati right here. If anything, but yeah, Jahad Campbell, I kind of see him. He's not as big as Tremaine Edmonds, but as far as how he plays, just an all around just good linebacker. There's not many flaws, but I don't think there's that high upside of
Mm-hmm.
him being like a top 3 linebacker. Definitely a good linebacker, but I don't think nothing crazy here. But all right, number 18, the Seattle Seahawks here, Brecken.
Well, we
So
were just talking about him. My boy, Josh Simmons. I think he's a perfect fit. Hear me out. I know he's injury prone, like, oh, the injury, all that stuff. I think this is a perfect fit. I know that it says guard center as a need, but I think
yeah,
he can play anywhere on the O line.
yeah,
And then with that injury, he doesn't have to start right away. And I would love him to play tackle on the left side for the Seahawks. I think he's a perfect fit. I don't want him to fall any further than this. Pre-injury, he was a top 5 blue chip guy. And then this injury, I think this is going to be the steal of the draft, in my opinion. I think he can end up being amazing. I love Josh Simmons coming out, and I think him going here to the Seahawks is perfect.
yeah.
I have to disagree. I see where you're coming from with Josh Simmons. I love Josh Simmons as well. However, I know there's also a need on all aspects of the offensive line, but I think you get a for sure thing, no question marks in Gray Zabel. I think you definitely need that interior position secured up for
Mhm.
the Seattle Seahawks. And I know he's an FCS interior offensive lineman, and I people will always look at North Dakota State players and kind of give them crap, but he proved last year that he was completely dominant against his opposition. And he has great footwork, great technique, and a lot of power. I think he would instantly improve the run game and pass protection for the Seattle Seahawks almost right away. And I think you definitely want to lean towards the interior, especially having Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet in your backfield.
I get
Ooh,
that.
man.
I feel like it's the argument of, do you want a guy that you can start right away and just set it and forget it?
No, the
Or
upside definitely is
yeah, yeah,
Josh
yeah,
Simmons.
yeah.
Yeah,
Josh
the
Simmons'
upside.
upside is
Yep.
number one offensive tackle in the entire draft. But that injury ruined his stock so much. I just think
It
you go
did.
with the safer option in the Seattle Seahawks, who are still in playoff contention
Mhm.
most of the time. I think Gray Zabel would be that for them.
You have to
I think
split
I'm
it.
gonna have to lean more towards Josh here. Gray Zabel right here, just somebody who's just a plug and play. He convinced me more with his argument right here, so I'm gonna have to stick with Gray Zabel. I know Josh Simmons falls another pick right here,
Mm-hmm.
but all right, Josh, who do you think is going here 19 to the Tampa Bay
Well,
Buccaneers?
I actually had Jahad Campbell going to the Buccaneers, and I'll give my little bit of reasoning why really quick. I just think you lose Devin White. He got older. Levante David's on his last years. He's about to retire. So what do? You add in that next presence to kind of fill in that linebacker position for you. However, he's already gone in our draft, and I just think there's many different ways that they can go. And my secondary option was one of the two safeties here. Nick, Emanwari or Malachi Starks right here. I think you can put them on the outside. Put them right next to Antoine
Winfield.
Winfield Jr. and sleep happily knowing you have one of the better safety duos in the entire NFL.
Breaking.
I get that. I think edge is still a huge need. I'm torn between Shamar Stewart or James Pierce
Yeah, I can
Jr.
see that too.
I really like James Pierce Jr. I think I'm gonna go with Shamar Stewart. Dude is a freak athlete. I know he didn't really produce in college, but his measurables, he could end up being a top 10 pick just off of his measurables. 6'6", 290. He's gonna solidify that edge for you.
2.5 sacks.
It doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He's gonna solidify that edge for you. I think that's a huge need for them. That one guy that they drafted not long ago has ended up not working out.
Yeah.
So I think Stewart makes the most sense.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree with Brecken here. Yes, Malachi Starks would be amazing, but I just think that I was leaning more towards Donovan E. I'm not even gonna try to announce his last name, but I understand the Shamar Stewart. I understand that pick right there because that's what they need, and that's a team that could take a risk on a guy that may not have the production. But what are you gonna say, Josh?
No, I know we have him already taken, but I think Walter Nolan, if he's available right here, would also entice the Buccaneers to go right there. Also, Vita Vea is getting older, but it also offers you someone alongside Vita Vea in that interior. And I just think being in that division that has Kyron Williams, the Falcons have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, while the Panthers are, I know they don't have really the same amount of weapons, but Rico Dowdle and
Rico Dowdle, legend.
And someone else, they have kind of like, I forgot who the other, I'm going blank just now. The other running back, they have some run game issues. They have to Chuba Hubbard, actually. I'm sure Chuba Hubbard had a great season. They have some run game issues that they probably want to defend against. But I completely agree with either of the picks that we go with right here.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna lock in Shamar Stewart right here. Number 20, the Denver Broncos here. I believe it's Brecken's turn next right here. So former coach of the New Orleans Saints right here. Where are they going after a good year with the rookie quarterback?
Dude, I could see them going. I could see them. Is what's his name still on the board? The running back?
Amarian Hampton?
Oh my God, he is!
Amarian Hampton, bro.
It's Sean Payton. I could see him either going Hampton or Loveland. I could see him going Hampton or Loveland here.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
I like both of them. I like both of them.
I think those are the only two options.
I think,
but they got Evan Ingram. They got Evan Ingram in the offseason.
So they did. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but Evan Ingram would immediately. I get it. He had a great season, but to draft your for sure tight end for the future in Colston Loveland, who is probably better almost immediately. Like people are saying, he's pretty good up there with Tyler Warren. I think he would be better than Evan Ingram right off the bat. But for me, I'm gonna have to agree with Brecken here. I'm going to Amarian Hampton, and as a dynasty owner who's gonna have Amarian Hampton on my football team, I love this fit. I just don't love it for the Chiefs year in and year out. But I think Amarian Hampton right here, you go with the boom play right here for the Denver Broncos. He's arguably he's for sure clear cut the second best running back in this entire class. If it wasn't for Ashton Jeanty, Amarian Hampton, I believe, would be getting a lot more love than he does.
Dude, and then with his receiving threat, with the check down merchant, dude, he'd be the second coming of AK. Except for more rushing yards. He'd probably hit 1,000 rushing yards this rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I
think Fonzo said he's David Montgomery with receiving upside, so I think that's pretty good.
David
comp
Montgomery,
right there.
And I was telling Brecken before, kind of like a Nick Chubb, but a little bit better receiving. I just think how he just runs downhill, Amarian Hampton, it fits Sean Payton's scheme so damn perfect, and just it's like if he's like that, if he goes to Denver, he could be like a better version of Mark Ingram. A smaller guy who just knows how to run downhill. It'd honestly be perfect right there. I think that'd be the best case scenario for him.